Let's quickly move on now to our top story, the issue of electoral bonds. A series of articles in the Huffington Post produced after some fairly sterling work by RTI activists reveals how the government pushed through electoral bonds, a legal but controversial means through which anonymous donors could contribute to political parties. The RBI says the system is deeply flawed, and while disagreement is common in government ministries, in fact that's encouraged at so many levels, the big question is this: has the government also undermined the Reserve Bank of India and run roughshod over those who did say that the system is deeply problematic? Rajiv Gowda with us, Deshratan Nigam with me in the studio, Nitin Sethi, the Huffington Post journalist, the independent journalist who's reported the three-part series, Jagdeep Chokar, the founder of the Association of Democratic Reforms, with us, Anjali Bhardwaj, the RTI activist, and we'll be joined by the senior advocate from the Supreme Court, Vikas Singh. Anjali, let me come to you first. It now appears, as a result of an RTI document, that the RBI governor also had perhaps the most categorical series of concerns on this going through. What were Urjit Patel's concerns?
Well, the RTI, the documents that have been obtained under the law have clearly shown the trail of correspondence between the then RBI governor, Mr. Urjit Patel, and the finance ministry. And Mr. Patel, in those documents, in the letters that have come out, has clearly stated that these electoral bonds in the current form are fraught with all sorts of dangers. He goes so far as to say that they will promote money laundering, they will result in a huge amount of black money being infused into the system, they will erode the credibility of the Reserve Bank, the Central Bank of India. Very clearly in the letters that have come out, Mr. Patel has said that the board of the Reserve Bank of India is extremely concerned and has warned the government and has gone so far as to say that they cannot agree with the government on the passage of the scheme, of the electoral bond scheme. He has repeatedly in different letters dated on the 14th of September in 2017, then again on the 27th of September, said that the scheme needs to be changed.
Okay.
He said that the physical scripts should not be there.
It should be a digital script, a digital process.
It should be a digital process, and the way in which the bonds are being formulated, and which is actually what has happened today, could lead to a great deal of money laundering.
Okay, you've raised a lot of points. We'd like to go through all of these points. I think the larger issue over here is of the government pushing through something which the Election Commission has disagreed with, the RBI has disagreed with, concern within the finance ministry as well. Now, I know there is the argument that if you disagree in government, you disagree in government, and somebody has to take the decision. But if you've got the RBI governor also making these points, then does it not indicate that this was something which the government pushed through with undue haste?
So let us be very clear, it is not the government that made this scheme, it was the parliament that made this scheme. Finance Act of 2017, which brought amendments in RBI Act, SEBI and Companies Act. So let's bring it the larger picture, and it was not opposed by any party.
I'm not saying it is illegal.
No,
it was obviously
no. I'm saying
what you're mentioning, that it was
I'm
pushed
saying
through.
the process. Any criticism is welcome, no doubt about it. So, and none of the parties in the
not
parliament,
even the process, Deshratanji. I'm saying the speed of the process.
No, let me. It was brought in the parliament, and none of the parties opposed it. Let us be very clear about it. So
this is not BJP versus Congress or Shiv Sena.
And secondly, RBI election commissions are not the lawmaking bodies. They can at best, raise concern. It would be considered by the parliament. Parliament did concern. Now let us compare what was the system earlier. Earlier was under the table cash system that was going on, and there was no accountability. Now the payment out here is either online or through check, through a KYC compliant accounts. So it is accounted for. Now concerns about corporates pushing in black money, they have their own system of electoral trust. We have discussed it, and they give the money on the basis of percentage of votes taken by the party, and therefore BJP gets more. Now there was a time when the other parties were getting more. So a party in power has a natural advantage to get it more. So I agree It's a better system that was prevailing in the past, and it does require further improvements. It's not.
But you don't have a problem with this system per se.
No, it requires improvements. There's no doubt about it. See, it's an ongoing process. We came through a under-the-table cash system to this system, which was far more accountable.
Okay.
And then you require to move further on.
Okay. I just want to go across to Rajiv Gowda, who needs to leave us in a little while from now. Mr. Gowda, this is not. It shouldn't strictly be a political battle because it's sort of turning out to be that as well. According to declared electoral bonds and of the breakup of 513 crores, which we believe is declared, the Congress got 5 crores as well. So you have used this system to actually get funds. This being the case, do you actually agree with what the government has done?
See, I in the Rajya Sabha opposed electoral bonds, and basically I opposed it on 3 grounds. One, that it was not transparent and we would not be able to follow the money and see who has contributed to whom and what they're getting in return. I talked about the fact that this was not, it is not necessarily clean money. In the aftermath of demonetization, we saw that a large amount of black money was somehow found its way to becoming white. That's how 99% of the cash outstanding came right back into the system. So I do not believe, like Mr. Nigam does, that any bank transaction is automatically, the antecedents are purely white. And so those are 2 major concerns. And finally, you must think about the level playing field that should be there in an electoral democracy. Who actually knows who these anonymous contributors are?
But these
The
anonymous
SBI,
contributors,
State Bank of India
as has
knows.
been the
They are
case,
ones
Mr.
who-
Gowda, even in your party, have contributed to your party. And they are anonymous. Now, this is what the system says.
Yeah, so
they are
okay.
anonymous.
No,
to
one
ensure
second, Vishnu.
That
The basic-
other political parties don't know who is contributing to a political party. So if I am a big corporate house and I want to pay to a political party, I don't want another political party to know that I have paid there, because the other political party might come to power in the future and say that, look, you supported the other party in the past and now we are going to go against you. This is the logic which has been provided.
I'm afraid that in this particular context, there's only one political party that knows what's going on, because the bonds are purchased from the State Bank of India. The companies may need to account for this in the income tax reports. So then the only both these departments come under the central government, and therefore the BJP is the only party that would have access to this information and would be in a position to threaten and extort money, and that's why you see the bulk of the money going to the BJP as well. If you're asking why did the Congress accept anything at all, this is at the when something is technically a legal method of donating funds. If somebody gives us funds in a legal manner, we will just go ahead.
So you disagree with the principle, but you will accept the cash.
The abolition of this, we absolutely demand the abolition of this fraudulent
Mr. Gowda, that's very
exercise
shocking. You
which has
disagree with the
damaged
system,
our
but you accept. You don't disagree with the cash.
When there is
where is the principle in this? You're taking a principled position as the Congress on this.
Oh, please. The principle is that it's currently legal. In a currently legal system, if you give it to us in a legal manner, well, then this is election time.
So it's legal for you, but potentially illegal for them.
Not the right system. When it becomes illegal, which is what we want it to be, we will not. We will not. Nobody will be able to accept.
Okay, you've got 10 seconds, Mr. Deshnatan Nigam, because Nitin is the one who's broken the story along with the RTI activists, and I've been keeping him waiting for unnecessarily.
First, there is an income tax scrutiny also under Section 13 of the Income Tax Act, and certainly, there is also a presumption in Mr. Gowda's that they may not come back in power, so everything the BJP is getting the advantage. I mean, that's the presumption on which the entire argument is based.
But it's right. In the first tranche of 222 crores, 95% did go to the BJP.
I was checking up 2017-18.
This was in 2018.
No, I'm talking about 2017-18. Congress and BJP were always neck to neck in funds, except 50 crore difference of total electoral funding. And if you go to prior, statistics, they were far ahead of BJP. In earlier.
Yes.
So it's a natural advantage that BJP is in power. They have more.
Right.
And certainly while donating, what I would consider is the state of affairs in both the parties,
Okay.
and also how much percentages these parties have received.
So let me come
In
across
terms
to
of
you,
votes.
Nitin.
In terms of votes.
It's a fairly incredible three-part series which you have personally worked on. How would you respond to those who say that it is the prerogative of the government to actually say that, look, even to the RBI, you've not understood it, you've got it wrong, and it's for us to actually decide that this policy works? Because we've seen this in the past as well, for right or for wrong, there has been dissent within the system, and then somebody needs to decide. So therefore, is that problematic? What is problematic in the way that this has happened?
So Vishnu, with due respect, I think you're creating a false equivalence and asking the very wrong questions. Let me start with first, what have we said so far in the story and what's come out today? That even after they overruled the RBI and the SBI, the Prime Minister's office particularly broke the law it had itself created a few months ago on how these electoral bonds would run. Now, if you're not going to focus on that, obviously you're deviating from it. Two, this false equivalence of what the government can do, obviously it can overrule the RBI and the Election Commission if it wants to. But the fact that it kept it a secret, denied and lied to the parliament all through when it was doing this. Two, that it had no technical justification or economic justification for doing this, but saying it's already too late. If you will remember, the story said they had consulted the RBI on a Saturday before they were going to the parliament with it. The RBI was so alarmed that it responded even over a Sunday to say stop in your tracks. The government did not. So let's ask the right questions. What has the government really done? And give me 10 seconds on this to let's lay it bare for you. What the government has done is made sure foreign money can come into Indian political funding. What the government has made sure at the moment is that shell companies can provide money even if they've not made a penny out of real business, which means obviously this is black money. And please remember, just because it comes from a bank account does not mean it's white money. This is exactly what Mr. Modi and his government has been saying for the last 5 years and pretending to be cleaning up. Three, it has said nobody shall come to know who's giving to whom. What are elections for? Elections are for citizens to vote upon, not for corporates to influence. While we had a bad system to begin with, where we had cash influence, what this government has done by bringing in electoral bonds and other concomitant amendments to laws is they've squeezed out cash, which might be white or black for smaller parties, but increased and created a huge space, a secret space for large parties, particularly those in power, to get a lot of money from unknown corporate and non-corporate sources, which might be overseas as well. Now, I don't care whether RBI says this is good or bad or EC says it's good or bad. Clearly, for basic democratic electoral democracy, this is a bad idea. That the citizens don't know who are influencing our politicians. Now, I don't care whether Congress agrees or not, but as citizen, I'm sure even you as a journalist can clearly point out that this is a bad idea to go ahead with. And again, just ending with this is a 5-part series. We've just done 3, and I would request anyone saying what they're saying in favor of this strange idea of electoral bonds, look out for what happens in the next 2 days.
One of the points which...
But let's focus on what the Prime Minister did. He broke the law he said.
Nitin, hang on a second. I've got other panelists as well. Can I ask them a question? If that's okay. Just give me a moment. Let me ask the others. Mr. Chokar,
please go ahead.
One of the points that has been...
Absolutely.
One of the points which has been mentioned over here, and a letter has been produced, which purports to suggesting that there was a lie on the floor of Parliament, when Pon Radhakrishnan, a senior leader, said, I would like to inform you that the reply to the question referred above was given on the basis of the information available in the records of the ministry. No formal communication has been received from the Election Commission of India on their concerns about the electoral bond scheme in the Finance Ministry, when in fact there are detailed records of a conversation having taken place. Wasn't this also part of an untruth which was stated on the floor of Parliament?
Absolutely.
It's called a lie.
Very clearly and absolutely, the Parliament was misled. The Minister concerned lied to Parliament. Election Commission had indeed written a letter We also have a copy of that letter. The letter was received by the government of India. Now, shelter is being taken behind fig leaves, such as no written communication was received. This was received by the law ministry. It came to a different division of the finance ministry. I mean, all these are cover-ups. And there is no shortage of cover-ups in the whole scheme. First of all, when the scheme was announced, it was said that it is absolutely anonymous. And then a journalist discovered that there were individual unique numbers which were visible only under ultraviolet light. That was hidden from public and from everybody else. So there are a series of actions. If we look at it from the day it was announced in the parliament and till today, I would say the story is getting murkier and murkier.
Okay.
And today what has been revealed is that the Prime Minister's office asked the finance ministry to go against the law of the land. And finance ministry first said it is wrong, it is illegal, and then they capitulated.
Okay. Mr.
Well,
Vikas Singh.
there is no law left as far as electoral bonds are concerned.
Okay. Mr.
And
Vikas
earlier you
Singh
said-
is the
just a
biggest
minute.
concern
Vishnu,
over here.
Vishnu, just a minute. Earlier you
This
said
is
that
wrong.
they are
The
legal.
electoral bonds are
There-
created under the RBI Act.
Yes.
No, they
Commodore
are not legal
Lokesh
because
Batra's
they were passed.
RTIs
They were
clearly
passed as-
prove this is a notification under the RBI Act, and the fact is that the government lied. But let's talk about the Prime
can I just
Minister's
come in
office
after?
actually breaking the law. Why aren't we focusing on that?
Can I decide what to focus on? Because we are trying to focus on as much as we can over here. I take your point. I'll give you the opportunity to raise that as well. But I want to go across to Vikas Singh as well. Mr. Singh, I think the largest concern over here is that this is a potential anonymous funnel with unlimited funds entering political parties. Offshore money can pour in. Big business money can pour in. And therefore, this system is inherently unclean. Is this not what this central issue is all about, irrespective of who pushed it through?
Well, Vishnu, the first misconception about this bond is that it is supposed to curb black money. It is not curbing black money. If there was anybody having black money, he can't buy bonds. So basically, anybody who was otherwise paying by check, because any deposit made over 20,000 was to be disclosed by a political party. So that was the identity of the donor had to be disclosed. Basically, you are doing away with the identity of the donor being, hidden by this method. Because when you talk of black money, the principal question, Vishnu, is that the donor, he should be in a position to show this money in his account. If he is not in a position to show this money in his account, then it is of course his white money. And if it is white money, then what you are virtually doing is that you are not telling his identity as to which political party he has spent this money for or which political party he has donated. So to say that it has got anything to do with black money, according to me, is complete misnomer. This is merely a way of ensuring that whoever is funding a particular political party, his identity be not disclosed. And that is where the danger lies. The Representation of People Act is amended, the Income Tax is amended, the RBI Act is amended. The other point that has been made is about the bond issue. Now the bond can't be issued except by RBI. Now that authority has been conferred by an amendment to the RBI Act to giving this power to the RBI to confer it upon a scheduled bank. Now that again is the other disturbing feature about this bond. So really speaking, I don't see it achieving any of the objectives for it has been.
You wanted to. I will come to you. I need to balance this all out. Go ahead. Yeah.
So, the issue is not so simple. Now, on one hand, there is donor's right to privacy. His vote is a secret ballot. Now, if he discloses that he is giving this much amount to a particular party, he is almost disclosing to which party he will be voting for. And that contradiction comes in. So, that two issues needs to be balanced out here. It's not a simple, give and take kind of an issue.
Okay.
Can I come in?
I want to make 2-3 points here.
Yeah, quickly, because I'm running out of time.
Democracy. This is not about corporate privacy.
In a democracy, what can be more important than citizens knowing who is funding political
Correct.
parties? political parties finally go on to form
Absolutely.
governments. The issue of quid pro quo has to be dealt with, because political parties will work for whoever gives them money. Now, if there are fugitives, there are people running away from the country who owe lots of money to banks. Are these people actually being supported by a government which might have got money from them or by a party? People have a right to know why certain people get contracts when others don't. Might be because there are funds that are being given by these corporates to people. People have a right to, fundamental right to know in a democracy who is funding political parties.
I just want to
now,
go
let me also clarify one thing, which was a mistake. These particular bonds, the scheme has not been passed by Parliament. The RBI Act was amended in Parliament, and in fact, the documents that we have access show these documents
just one second.
The RBI
I need to wrap this up, but I wanted to
also.
get to what Nitin was actually talking about. The point that you mentioned in your article, Nitin, today is how the PMO was involved in directing the Finance Ministry to break its own rules and to approve what you say is the unscheduled and illegal sale of these bonds for state assembly elections on 2 separate occasions. How did this take place?
So we know that under the scheme that the government cleared over the bodies of the RBI and the Election Commission, the government was allowed to have 4 windows of electoral bonds in a normal year, and in a year when Parliament elections are to be held, another 30 days windows could be cleared. But the Prime Minister's office instructed that a special window be opened just before the crucial Karnataka elections. The Finance Ministry noted that this was illegal, yet said, let's make an exception for the requirements. We don't know what those requirements were, but we can clearly make out what they were. Thereafter, as an exception, what was done once turned into a practice that they subsequently did for all other state elections as well, which happened in November and December of 2018. Now, to my mind, as much as I understand law, this is passed under an RBI. This is a notification under the RBI Act. Therefore, this is an illegal act ordered by the PMO, condoned by the Finance Ministry, and then actually turned into a practice by the government. It is more ridiculous than the fact that we've ever heard that the Prime Minister's office is ordering an illegal act.
Okay, and you say that there are 2 more stories coming up. I need to wrap this debate over here right away because I'm running out of time on this. But this is an issue which clearly is going nowhere. We'll follow this up again. I'd like to thank all of you very much for joining us.